After 2 days in a small Somali hospital, Abdulwali Abdi seemed to be groping his way towards some sort of recovery. The 2-year-old still weighed just 4.6 kilograms, 10 pounds 2 ounces, not much more than a healthy newborn. But he had the energy to moan now, and his mother, Hawa, sat beside him on the bed, in the border town of Dolo, breastfeeding her 2-month-old daughter and making hopeful plans to return to their makeshift camp on the dusty outskirts. "It's encouraging," said Fatuma Mohammed, a senior nurse and administrator from Kenya, as she paced around the 17-bed stabilization ward, with its 17 infants all wrestling with malnutrition, and with the various diseases that keep it company here on the dry, thorny plains of southern Somalia, as the country grapples with its worst drought in 40 years. "We don't have food to feed him, but our neighbors have been helping us," said Hawa, 22, watching her son closely. He'd been growing weaker for weeks, with a fever and diarrhea, before they finally came to seek help. The district hospital in Dolo, a dusty little border town in southwestern Somalia, has been quietly assisting children like Abdulwali for years. Funded by the UK government and others, it has built up a network of community workers who provide basic medical support, not just in town, but deep into the contested countryside, where the militant Islamist group Al-Shabaab controls many villages. But today, following a 5th failed rainy season, Dolo is being overwhelmed by a surge of new arrivals. Tens of thousands of families like Abdulwali's, their cattle dead and their farms parched, have gathered in crowded informal settlements, hoping to find food and safety. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of lives at stake, and people are dying now. "We don't have enough resources to support them," said Abdulkadir Mohammed, from the Norwegian Refugee Council, watching more families arrive at one of the larger camps. At the hospital, nearly 100 women sat in the midday heat, nursing malnourished infants, waiting for them to be weighed and assessed. "It's going to be really bad here. We're expecting things to get worse. We're expecting a formal declaration of famine very soon," said Pamela Wasonga, who runs the hospital's nutrition program on behalf of an Irish charity, Trocare. The United Nations is warning that 6.7 million people will need food aid in Somalia in the coming months, about 40% of the population. Overnight, Abdulwali's condition deteriorated. Soon after 9 the next morning, his temperature fell sharply, and 2 Somali doctors quickly wrapped him in a thermal blanket made of foil. 2 beds away, an 18-month-old girl was getting the same urgent treatment. "We're really worried. These children cannot control their temperatures very well. That's why we never put on the ceiling fans in the stabilization centers. If the child warms up, then the survival rate is higher," said Ms. Mohammed, as a doctor rested a thermometer under Abdulwali's limp arm. By now, the boy's father, Karadan, 28, had arrived at the hospital, and was pacing nervously around the bed. Before this new drought, the family had been quite well off, with 4 children, 40 cows and a thatched home near the town of Kansaksdier, 200 kilometers, 125 miles, south of Dolo. But that region, Bay, lies at the center of the current drought, and 2 months ago, the last of the family's cattle, the source of all their wealth, died. Soon after that, the parents decided to pack up a few belongings on a donkey cart and head north with the family, trekking for 6 days. Al-Shabaab militants tried to stop them leaving the town but settled for confiscating Mr. Adnan's mobile phone, smashing it in front of him. Suddenly the doctors clustered around Abdulwali. One of them used 2 fingers to press, repeatedly, on his chest, hoping to stimulate a heartbeat. His colleague moved closer to look into the child's unmoving eyes. The parent stood quietly at the foot of the bed. And then, at 10:13 on an overcast morning, it was over. "The heartbeats have gone," whispered Ms. Mohammed, now watching Abdulwali's mother as she slumped onto the bed and began to cry. "We've been able to rescue quite a lot of babies. But probably things are getting worse now," said Ms. Mohammed, in the manner of someone who has seen such scenes many times. It's so sad and painful when you witness something that can be prevented and can be corrected very easily, said the hospital's head doctor, Ali Shuaib. Within minutes, Abdul